Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 118. Without any delay, start explanation. Once the train station staff confirmed that there was no snake in the vicinity, the crowds of people quickly calmed down. The brief snake scare had passed, and the train heading for Heaven-Do City quickly filled up. Once the embarkation process was complete, the train then started moving forward, gently at first, then picking up speed until it was zipping toward Heaven-Do City. Damn it! Shulishi, Yixinglan, and Gu had just arrived at the train station and could see the train carrying Tang Wulin leave the station. We just missed the train. Well, at least there are a lot of trains going to Heaven-Do City. We'll just have to wait half an hour. According to the rules of the exam, it's time for us to part ways here. Good luck. Yixinglan fist-bumped Gu. Gu smiled. Let's see who gets back first then. I'm going to go buy my ticket. The vast majority of the first-grade students were still busy making money. Tang Wulin was the only one whose journey had truly begun. The Soul train rapidly picked up speed until it reached a high-speed cruise. Tang Wulin found himself in the dining car along with around a dozen other people. He soon realized that he had made a mistake. He was getting hungry. The aroma of food hung in the air of the dining car. The food served on these trains couldn't be called spectacular, but it didn't matter to Tang Wulin when his stomach was growling. However, he was penniless. He couldn't buy any food. Money hadn't been an issue when he snuck onto the train, but it was an issue now. The other people in the dining car were already seated and eating breakfast. Tang Wulin patted his empty stomach as he looked around. The academy is so mean. They didn't even let us eat breakfast before starting the exam. Tang Wulin felt depressed. He firmly believed that if his stomach weren't full, his strength wouldn't be at 100%. Well, there's nothing I can do. I'll just have to bear with it for now. Tang Wulin soon faced another problem. The staff were checking tickets again. Tickets were checked once more on the train to prevent stowaways like Tang Wulin. The dining car was at the very center of the train. Since the staff started checking tickets from the front and back ends of the train, they would check here last. At that moment, Tang Wulin saw ticket checkers appear from both doors of the car. He knew he was cornered, and he had no plans to lie either. I don't have a ticket, Tang Wulin calmly told the train attendant. Huh? You don't have a ticket? The train attendant put on a grave expression. So you're a stowaway then? Please buy a ticket immediately. Tang Wulin could only force out a bitter smile. I don't have any money either. The train attendant sized him up. Kid, your clothes are so clean. How could you not have any money on you? Did you run away from home? Tang Wulin was only 14 years old now. Even if he was tall, he still had baby fat left on his face. Yeah. I ran away from home. Tang Wulin looked at the train attendant helplessly. I have relatives in Heaven-Do City. I can get money from them to pay for a ticket. Would that be all right? Come with me. The train attendant brought Tang Wulin to the train conductor. Since he was just a child, the train attendant didn't treat him too harshly. There was nowhere to run on the train anyway. Tang Wulin couldn't escape. They quickly arrived at the conductor's room in the operations carriage, which sat at the center of the train. This kid is a stowaway and he doesn't have any money for a ticket. What should we do with him? The conductor was a lady who looked to be in her late 20s. Although she wasn't particularly beautiful, she did have a dignified air around her. A stowaway? Kid, why are you doing such things at such a young age? Asked the conductor. Come on, tell me. What's your situation? Tang Wulin took a deep breath. Actually, I'm a student from Shrek Academy. I'm currently in the middle of an exam and all of my possessions were confiscated by the academy before I was sent out. My exam requires me to go all the way to Bright City, so I had no choice but to sneak on. Big sis, I know I was wrong in doing this. I would be fine with you having some of your attendants escort me to get money to pay for a ticket once we arrive in Heaven-Do City. I have ways to get money there. I'll pay double the ticket price, I swear. You're a student from Shrek Academy? The conductor and the train attendant stared at him in shock. Shrek Academy was a legendary existence. It was practically a holy site for ordinary people like them. Yet the ordinary-looking kid before them claimed to come that holy place. Kid, you've already snuck onto the train. Don't go lying now too, the conductor said sternly. Tang Wulin pouted. I'm not lying. I really am a Shrek Academy student. I'll prove it right now. Just watch. He took a step back and urged the soul power within his body into action. 3 purple soul rings rose from his feet and revolved around him, thrumming with a trace of power. This display stunned the conductor and attendant. On the Dolor continent, everyone had a martial soul, including the ordinary people. Those who were ordinary understood exactly what a soul master was, so when the conductor and attendant saw 3 purple soul rings, they could hardly believe their eyes. Most ordinary people would never personally see a purple soul ring in their entire lives. It's purple, the attendant muttered. Is that a 1,000-year soul ring? How are all 3 of them 1,000-year soul rings? Because I'm a student of Shrek Academy. Tang Wulin proclaimed proudly. His plan had been simple. All he had to do was flaunt his status as a soul master. Shrek Academy may have confiscated all of his possessions, but they couldn't seal his martial soul. As long as he had his martial soul and soul power, most problems could be solved with his status as a soul master. He had only realized it after Mu Shi had turned him away from the Blacksmith Association. In the end, he was a soul master. Soul masters stood at the peak of society tens of thousands of years ago. They still did so to this very day. Everyone looked up to soul masters. Minor money problems could easily be swept under the rug as long as he revealed his status. Tang Wulin's current #1 priority was saving time. He no longer even planned on going to the Blacksmith Association when he arrived in Heaven-Do City. His focus was completing the exam as quick as possible, which would then allow him to use his access points to help his classmates. Little brother, you're a 3-ringed soul master. That makes you a soul elder, right? Are you really from Shrek Academy? Tang Wulin nodded. Yeah. Big sis, Shrek Academy is just too mean. They want everyone in my grade to visit 10 cities within 15 days. Then we have to defeat a soul master at least 5 ranks above us too. And after all that, we still have to get back to Shrek Academy within the exam period. I won't pass unless we do all of that. The conductor stared at him blankly. And they are having you do this all alone? Just how old are you? I can't believe they would send a boy like you out all alone. They're terrible. The attendant tugged at the conductor's sleeve. She was bad-mouthing the legendary Shrek Academy. Even silent cursing was not usually permissible. It was a holy land after all. The conductor immediately realized her mistake and turned back to Tang Wulin with a warm smile on her face. How may we be of help to you then, little brother? At the very least, I can use my authority to excuse you from paying for a ticket. Tang Wulin beamed as he recalled his soul rings. Thank you, big sis. I need to visit a bunch more cities on the way and challenge some people too. Do you know if there are any places in Heaven-Do City where lots of soul masters gather? Also, could I borrow some money from you? I'm getting kind of hungry. Don't worry though. I'll definitely pay you back once I return to Shrek Academy. Tang Wulin was a good-looking boy. He had large sparkling eyes that roused the maternal instincts of the conductor. Shrek Academy is just awful. I can't believe they would force a child like him through so much hardship. Don't worry. This big sis will help you out, the conductor said. You need to visit 10 cities, right? How can I help you? There's nothing I can do about finding opponents for you, but I do know that the security captains for train stations are all soul masters with mechas. The thing is just that their strengths vary. The captain at Heaven-Do City's train station should meet your criteria. Do you really have to fight him though? He's an adult, and he's really strong. Tang Wulin's eyes lit up. If he could battle a suitable opponent as soon as he reached the train station, he would be able to save a lot of time. All right. Sounds great. Please help me with that then, big sister. He sighed in his heart. He was lucky to meet such a kind-hearted person. He had begun calling her big sister to act cute. Only in the end did he truly mean it. Xiaohu, please go get some food for this little brother while I step out for a moment. He's just so pitiful. He wasn't even allowed to eat breakfast. Tang Wulin restrained his appetite in order to avoid scaring the conductor, but even so, he ate enough food to feed 5 people. The smell of food. It's... Tang Wulin lamented his weak willpower. However, the train only carried so much food on it. Wulin, I've already made the arrangements. The security captain at Heavendo City's train station will be waiting for you. After you finish your battle, I'll help you get a monthly train pass. With that pass, you'll be able to ride any train on the continent. And here. Take this money. You can use it to feed yourself during your journey. The conductor had only stepped out for a moment, yet she had already taken care of everything. It was clear that she had risen to the rank of a conductor through her own merit. When Tang Wulin received 20,000 credits from her, his heart burst with warmth. She's so kind. At that moment, the communicator in the cabin crackled to life. Conductor! Conductor! Please come to the 5th carriage immediately. Terrorists have hijacked it. Please hurry. A hijacking? The conductor looked dazed. Damn it! This is a disaster. A few months ago, another hijacking had occurred in the western part of the continent. That incident resulted in the train exploding. Over 500 casualties had been recorded. It was a tragedy that rocked the entire continent. The conductor went deathly pale, yet she quickly regained her wits and spoke into the mic. Attention all train attendants. Attention all train attendants. This is your conductor speaking. We have an emergency. Anyone with a weapon should head to the 5th carriage. Remain calm and do not alarm the passengers. Try to mitigate the disturbance. She rushed into her room and pulled out a key. She then opened a safe and took out a Soul pistol. Wait here, Wulin. Don't go in that direction. After warning Tang Wulin, she ran out. Tang Wulin caught a glimpse of her face as she left. He could see the conviction blazing in her eyes. The conductor was determined. She would do everything she could to protect the lives of the people on her train. Tang Wulin called out to her as he ran to catch up. Big sis. I'm going with you. You? No way. You're just a child. What if you get hurt? What would I tell your parents? The conductor came to a stop and pushed him back. Tang Wulin smiled. Big sis, have you already forgotten? I'm a Shrek Academy student. And a 3-ring soul elder. Trust me. I can help you deal with them. The conductor hesitated for a moment when she recalled this fact, but in the end, she shook her head. Wulin, listen to me. I know you're a soul master, but the security captain on the train is too. Let us grown-ups handle this. You're still a kid. You have a bright future ahead of you. Just stay here and be safe. If it really does get too dangerous, then I'll have the 11 rear carriages disconnect from the rest of the train. Just be good and stay put. She pushed Tang Wulin back into the room, locked the door behind her, then ran off. Tang Wulin bit his lip as he watched her leave. There are terrorists. After leaving the operations carriage, the conductor slowed down to a walk and hid her gun in her pocket. She didn't want to alarm the other passengers yet. She had to minimize the panic as much as possible. She plugged a pair of earphones into her communicator and put them on. Turning to the side slightly, she whispered into the mic, I'm almost there. What's the situation? There are 6 terrorists in total, conductor. They are heavily armed. They somehow managed to smuggle beam guns onto the train. 4 of them are armed with beam assault rifles and 1 is armed with a soul cannon. They've already planted soul bombs all over the carriage. It could blow up at any moment. We have 10 staff members in position and engaged in a standoff with the terrorists. But they are better armed than we are. What the hell are those safety screenings for? They actually missed a load of bombs. The conductor took a deep breath. She cursed within her heart. This is a serious issue. These terrorists have bombs and heavy weapons. We're on a high-speed train right now, and there aren't any stops before Heaven Do City. We can't let a firefight break out here. The conductor promptly came to a decision. Tell the operators to immediately cut off the 6th to 16th carriages after I enter the 5th. Are we able to contact headquarters? Yes, we've already sent a message. Conductor, you. Shut it. Just carry out my orders. The conductor looked forward, facing the direction of the 5th carriage. Once the 11 rear carriages were separated from the rest of the train, there would be no path of retreat. She would share the fate of the remaining passengers and staff. They would either live or die. Yet this was all she could do. She had made her decision and now it was time to follow through. She had to minimize losses. At the very least, the terrorists wouldn't be able to destroy the entire train. The situation in the carriages beyond the 5th one was unclear. All attempts to communicate with them resulted in radio silence. The terrorists had already blocked them off. She had to handle them personally. As she walked forward, she took out her wallet and opened it. Inside of it was a picture of a cute, chubby baby. It looked to be only a few months old. Tears welled in her eyes as she took the picture out, brought it to her lips, and kissed it. "Mommy's so sorry for this, my baby." Then she tucked it back into her wallet and put her wallet away. She wiped away her tears and picked up the pace. The passengers in the 6th carriage had been evacuated to the 7th. A dozen or so armed staff members stood to the sides of the door to the 5th carriage. They were in a standoff against the terrorists. The only weapons the train held in case of emergencies were beam pistols. They weren't particularly powerful. "What's the situation?" the conductor asked the security captain as she approached. The captain wore a grave expression. "It isn't good. They've taken passengers as hostages. The carriages in the front are probably under their complete control as well. They've already installed bombs all over the train and a countdown has started." The conductor took a deep breath. She had to remain calm right now. Terrifying as the situation may be, as the conductor, she had no other choice but to handle it. She took a few steps forward and shouted into the 5th carriage. "Please don't act impulsively. We can negotiate. Do you have any demands? I'll do my best to fulfill them, but please don't harm the hostages." The fact that they could smuggle so much weaponry onto the train showed that they weren't any ordinary terrorists. Neither surrender nor threats would be effective in dealing with such people. Her best option was to delay for time and hope for help. "No need for bullshit," a voice replied. "You're the conductor, right? Our demands are very simple. Tell the federal government to safely release the people they arrested 20 days ago. If they do that, I'll release these hostages. I know you can cut off the carriages in the rear, but let me warn you, the first 5 carriages have already been rigged with bombs. I'm sure you know how many passengers are here. You don't have much time. The bombs are set to detonate in 30 minutes. If you can't fulfill our demands in 30 minutes, looks like you'll be buried along with everyone else." The conductor's heart thumped. 20 days ago? Who did the federal government arrest 20 days ago? There wasn't any news about that. These demands confused her, but she was certain these terrorists wouldn't make impossible demands. "Have you informed headquarters of their demands?" the conductor asked the security captain. "I've already sent a message," said the security captain. "But headquarters said they would have to consult the higher-ups first. It's impossible to fulfill their demands in half an hour. The people these terrorists want released are all extremely heinous criminals. If we give in to these demands..." The conductor clenched her jaw. "When will backup arrive?" "They should be here in 20 minutes, but, since the bombs are already ticking, by the time backup arrives..." Cold sweat ran down the security captain's back. An eerie look washed over the conductor's face. Have the crew withdraw to the 6th carriage. The security captain looked at her in shock. Conductor, don't tell me we're sacrificing the hostages. Who said we're sacrificing them? Just carry out your orders, the conductor barked. In case of emergencies, the conductor held the highest authority on a train. The attendants stood by, waiting for their orders. The security captain clenched his teeth, then commanded the attendants to withdraw with a wave of his hand. The conductor turned back to the 5th carriage. Please don't act impulsively. We're fulfilling your demands as we speak, but we need more time. 30 minutes is too short. Please extend the timer on the bombs. I beg of you to trust me. I will do my best to mediate and get you what you want. But I also need you to promise me you won't hurt the hostages. All of the attendants and security staff withdrew to the 6th carriage. How do I know you're not just stalling for time? A hoarse voice shouted back. The conductor remained calm. You have bombs installed, so even if mechas come as backup, they wouldn't be able to storm your carriage. Hundreds of lives are at risk after all. I've already contacted headquarters and they agreed to your demands, but this matter involves the federal government. We need to get someone with more authority to approve it. It'll take about 1 hour to do that. If you can trust me, extend the time limit to 1 hour. I'm certain you have some way to detonate the bombs at any time, so you don't have to be worried if I'm lying. The terrorists in the 5th carriage went silent for a while, then the same voice as before spoke up again. Fine. I'll trust you this time. We'll extend the bomb timers to 1 hour. But if you're lying, everyone dies. The conductor took a deep breath. Let's discuss the demands then. Let me introduce myself first. I am this train's conductor. My name is Wulin. I'm an ordinary person without any soul power. My father is the administrator of Heaven-Do City, Wu. I'm sure that I am far more valuable as a hostage than ordinary people. So, I request that you release all the elderly, women, and children you have taken hostage. Take me in their stead. Conductor, you can't. The security captain grabbed her arm. Wulin threw him off. Despite being a mere ordinary person, she was able to shake off the grip of a two-ringed soul master. She turned to glare at him. The security captain couldn't help but avert his gaze when he saw the imposing determination in her eyes. The hoarse voice finally spoke up once more. We can't agree to your request. We have no way of verifying your identity. Wulin sucked in a breath of air, then stepped into the doorway, exposing herself to the guns of the terrorists. You can search me up on SoulNet and verify my appearance. If you also cross-reference my name with my father's, you should have no trouble confirming my identity. She scanned the carriage as she spoke. Most of the passengers were huddled at the back. She could see a bomb stuck to the roof of the carriage from where she was standing, but she couldn't see the terrorists. Instead, their guns poked out of gaps between the hostages, aimed straight at her. Perhaps affected by her calmness, one of the terrorists spoke up after a few moments. All right. We have confirmed your identity. We will release all the elderly, women, and children. But don't even think about pulling any stunts. This is a game of trust now. We'll release 10 people first, then you'll walk over. After that, I'll release the rest. If you don't keep your promise after we release the first 10 people, I'll kill 10 others to make up for it. Understood? Wulin answered without hesitation. The terrorists acted quickly. A few moments later, 10 hostages walked out of the carriage and into the other. They thanked Wulin in between sobs as they passed her. Wulin remained stone-faced. She simply patted each hostage on the back as she directed them to the security captain, who inspected them to make sure no bombs had been planted on them. We've fulfilled our part of the deal. Now it's your turn, shouted the hoarse voice. Wulin took out her beam gun and passed it to the security captain. With both hands high in the air to indicate she wasn't armed, she walked into the 5th carriage. Her movements were slow and steady, and she soon reached the other hostages. A hand stretched out to point a gun right at her forehead. Wulin kept her cool. You can release the rest now? All right. You're very brave, Miss Molan. You certainly live up to your status as the daughter of an official. I really admire you. Release the others. There were about 400 passengers in the first 5 carriages, with elderly, women, and children making up about a third of that number. Over 100 people were released and began trickling into the 6th carriage. A terrorist completely garbed in black restrained Molan from behind. He held a gun to her head as he watched the procession of people leaving for the 6th carriage, not noticing the faint smile she wore. We've shown our sincerity, so now it's your turn. You guys have 40 minutes remaining to meet our demands. Molan was about to speak when a young voice called out from the 6th carriage. Big sis. Big sis. A small figure ran out, and was instantly met with 3 beam guns pointed at his head. Wulin? What are you doing here? Molan's face turned pale. Indeed, it was Tang Wulin who had just barged into the carriage. He stumbled a few steps forward, tears in his eyes and panic on his face. A couple more steps and he arrived in front of Molan and hugged her waist. Big sis, don't abandon me. They told me there are bad guys here. He glared at the terrorist with childish rebellion. Don't hurt my big sis. Huh? Is this kid your brother? How come you two don't look anything alike? Is he a bastard child? The hoarse-voiced terrorist teased, soliciting hoots of laughter from his comrades. He's my cousin. Stop talking nonsense, Molan said furiously as she sneaked a questioning glance at Tang Wulin. Don't abandon me, big sis. Tang Wulin still wore the mask of a sobbing child. I don't care what happens. Just let me stay with you. This kid. Molan looked to the distant security captain. They were in a desperate situation now. She gave him a slight nod. The security captain steeled his resolve and stepped into the 5th carriage. Take me as a hostage too, he said with his hands raised in the air. Conductor. Captain, a few train attendants cried. As the terrorists debated what to do, the 6th carriage detached from the 5th. Stop! Molan shouted, nary a hint of fear in her voice. What do you guys have to be afraid of? I'm your hostage now, and you still have a couple more. Protocol dictated that we disconnect the carriages, to minimize the losses. Do you not understand this? Fine. Stay your hands, the leader of the terrorists commanded. Miss Molan is right. We have a lot of leverage. The federal government is a democracy, right? Let's see if they'll release our comrades in exchange for these hostages. Take her cousin to the back. Miss Molan, you can continue talking with your headquarters. Just understand that, from this moment on, I will execute 10 hostages every 5 minutes until the remaining 40 minutes are up. Then boom. We all go to heaven. Oh. That hurts. Tang Wulin exclaimed as one of the terrorists pushed him toward the 4th carriage. Before he left, he managed to sneak a wink at Molan. That brat. Can he really do something? Helplessness gripped Molan, then she shook it off and gritted her teeth. Trading her life for those of the elderly, women, and children was all she could do to minimize the collateral damage. She understood just how vicious these terrorists were. She had no other options. Tang Wulin let the terrorist drag him to the 4th carriage. Many more hostages huddled together in this carriage, too many to have all been from just one. As the terrorist pulled him along, he examined the carriage with his peripheral vision and added that information to what he already learned. From what he had seen so far, only the leader of the terrorists was a sole master. He had the detonator for the bombs in his possession. The engine of the train was located in the 1st carriage, so it continued to glide along the tracks after the 11 carriages behind the 5th were detached. There was a terrorist armed with a soul cannon standing in the corner of that 5th carriage. Now, he needed to figure out how many more terrorists there were and how they were situated in the other carriages. Don't touch anything in here, kid, the terrorist dragging Tang Wulin barked. Number 3. Watch this kid. He's a VIP. There were 3 armed terrorists standing guard over more than 200 hostages in the 4th carriage. The women, children, and elderly were released. The people here should be the majority of the remaining hostages. All right, hand him over. The terrorist kicked Tang Wulin in the shin, forcing him to fall to the ground with a yelp of pain. You better behave yourself, brat. The kick hurt Tang Wulin, but it was nothing he couldn't handle. Yet instead of weathering the blow, he took the opportunity to get a better vantage point. He peeked through the gap between the terrorist's legs into the third carriage. He saw carnage. The floor had turned crimson, dyed with blood. There was nothing in the carriage other than death. Tang Wulin stared at the corpses strewn about, aghast. It was the first time he had seen a dead body. What are you doing to him? He's just a kid. A man in his 40s pulled Tang Wulin up and stepped in front of him. The terrorist snorted and pointed his gun at the man, forcing him to retreat a few steps. Tang Wulin put on an expression of fear. Uncle, I saw blood. There's a lot of blood over there. He pointed to the third carriage. They are all dead. A youth standing off to the side shuddered. They killed anyone who resisted. They are demons. Demons? They are all dead. Tang Wulin clenched his fist. The youth was warning him. These hostages were gathered in the fourth carriage because the terrorists had killed the rest. There were still 40 minutes left on the clock before all of the bombs detonated. 6 of the terrorists were gathered in the fifth carriage, and 3 in the fourth carriage. A grand total of 9. All of them were armed with soul weapons, including a soul cannon. One was also a soul master, whom Tang Wulin judged to be a soul elder. He considered all the information gathered from his observations, and came to a quick decision. His eyes flashed gold. I can do this. Let's begin. Tang Wulin concealed his right hand below a table that was nearby and slowly released tendrils of blue-silver grass, his heart thumping nervously. He suppressed his anxiety and jitters with the experience gleaned from years of blacksmithing. His heart was calm, his mind was clear. With his spiritual power in the spirit connection realm, Tang Wulin could perceive his surroundings to a greater degree than ever before. He had an accurate grasp of the situation in the fourth carriage. Most of the hostages were in this carriage, and the bombs posed the greatest threat. He soon located every single bomb. Let's deal with these first. The hostages huddled together in fright, the terrorists watching their every move. The first sign of trouble, and they would shoot. If only I had learned Ghost Shadow Perplexing Step. I'd be a lot more confident about this. Frustration welled in Tang Wulin's heart. He had been hard at work cultivating at Shrek Academy all this time. His soul power rank and blacksmithing skills progressed a significant amount, but this also led to him failing to visit the Tang sect. I just need to complete a few more missions. Then I'll probably be able to learn Ghost Shadow Perplexing Step. I'll do that after the exam. I have to focus on what's in front of me first. He did his best to suppress the flash of purple beneath his feet, but the terrorists still noticed. All of them turned to look at him at the same time. But it was already too late. 3 shining vines of golden blue-silver grass shot out from under their feet and impaled them. They were but ordinary people, not soul masters. Wielding soul guns didn't change the frailty of their bodies, and despite being skewered, they failed to even let out a scream. The effect of blue-silver impaling array took hold of them too quickly. Their bodies went stiff, their voices silenced. The sudden attack sent the hostages into a panic, startled shouts filling the carriage. Tang Wulin had considered the possibility of this, but he didn't bother trying to warn any of them to be quiet. He leaped into action, his right hand transforming into a dragon claw in a flash of gold. He thrust it into the roof of the carriage and tore it open as if it were tofu. He then grabbed one of the bombs and hurled it out of the opening. 3 bombs had been planted in different parts of the carriage. Tang Wulin quickly grabbed the second bomb and threw it out as well. Just as he was about to go for the third, one of the terrorists walked in. What's going on? He yelled as he entered. Before he could even survey the scene, a vine of blue-silver grass wrapped around his neck and constricted, preventing him from speaking another word. Tang Wulin continued his work and threw out the third bomb, then darted to the terrorist, knocking him out with a chop to the neck. For terrorists down, 5 to go. Tang Wulin stepped into the corridor connecting the 4th and 5th carriages. The second he did, he began slashing at the walls around him. His movements were quick and decisive, befitting a student of Shrek Academy. His claw tore through metal, glass, and wiring until, with one final swipe, he separated the carriages. The 5th carriage buckled slightly at the sudden change, then slowly began to drift away from the rest of the train with all of its occupants. "Boss!" One of the cars was cut loose, one of the terrorists shouted as he opened fire on Tang Wulin, showering him in beams of soul energy. Tang Wulin crouched down behind his claw. Threads of light swirled around his claw, materializing into his gauntlet. Soul guns were nothing in the face of battle armor. Even one-word battle armor stood high above mechas after all. Tang Wulin came out of the barrage of beams unscathed. A vine of blue-silver grass wrapped around the waist of the terrorist who shot at Tang Wulin and promptly threw him out of the train. Then more vines whipped out, intercepting another 2 terrorists and tossing them out as well. By this point, Tang Wulin had cleared out more than half the terrorists. But the crisis wasn't over yet. Now wasn't the time to think twice about his plan of action. He could only resolve this situation with brute force. Tang Wulin walked into the 5th carriage to face the last 2 terrorists. The leader already had Mo Lan in his clutches. He held a gun to her head with one hand, his other hand tightly gripping a detonator. The last of his terrorist flunkies stood with his soul gun pointed at the doorway. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.